welcome to another episode of the Biorenewable Health Network's podcast. Today we are here on site with Theresa Brumble, who has More Medical Massage and Laser.
Yes.
Laser. And we'll talk about all that later. But this is a two-parter because she doesn't just do massage and lasers. She's also what's known as an end-of-life doula. I know, you're saying, what the heck is that? We'll get to it. All right, so thanks for having us here. This place is beautiful. It smells great. As soon as you walk in the door, you're just relaxed. So I love it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Really.
So tell us about yourself. Tell us about your journey. That's what we like to hear about everybody and how they got to the place that they got to.
So we'll start at the beginning, I guess. I grew up in Galloway, and I went to high school in Holy Spirit, and then I went to Absegami, and I didn't really like school too much. And so I would goof off, and when I got out of school, I was bartending, and I was working at Prudential Insurance Company, and a friend of mine said, hey, you can go to school for MRI for 2 years, and you can make like double what you make now. I said, really? All right, I'm in. So I found Shore Memorial X-ray program, and I applied, and there was about 350 applicants, and they picked 6.
Wow.
And I was one of the oldest at the time. I was 26, going on 27. And I remember him saying, you know, if you want to travel, you can travel with this job. And I said, I'm in. Like, I'm in.
Two
I want to
things,
go.
more money and travel.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I went through school, and I loved it. I was like, my God, the medical field. Like, if I would have known, I would have started earlier. I could have been a doctor by now, you know. And so right out of school, I had my first job in Minneapolis, and I worked at Minneapolis Children's Hospital. I was doing x-ray, and then I studied on my own to get my CAT scan certification. And I stayed in Minneapolis for a little while. I stayed there for 3 years. Each session is supposed to be like 13 weeks for a traveling tech. Well, I stayed for 3 years.
A little bit longer.
Just a little bit. And then I wound up getting a job out in Vegas. And so I went out in Vegas. I met the man that I wound up marrying, and we were there for about 5 years. And then we wanted to sell our house and move to Oregon eventually. So we moved to Phoenix, Arizona. We built a house to invest basically in Phoenix. We weren't there very long. And then moved up to Oregon, and I lived in Portland, Oregon for about 6.5 years. Worked and did CAT scan and MRI and loved it. I loved it. We had a 650 bed hospital.
Wow.
It was amazing. The radiologists that I worked with were unbelievable. Like, they worked with you, they taught you, you know, to look at something. And then in 2011, my grandmother got ill. Like, she already had Alzheimer's. And so I found out that she was on life support, and I came back. And it was Memorial Day weekend, 2011. And she was intubated, and she wasn't supposed to be intubated. And so they removed it, and within 2 days she passed. Well, I went back home. I was very close to my grandmother. Went back home, and I was like, wait a minute. Like, I was in this depressed state. And my husband at the time said, you know, if we sell our house, we can move back to New Jersey. I said, I don't want to ever go back to New Jersey. Like, I don't want to go back.
Shh, we won't tell everybody. Nobody wants to come back.
And he says, well, we'll put it up for 6 months and we'll see how it goes. In 2011, it was terrible.
Yeah.
The first person that looked at our house bought our house, and we were out of here. My grandmother died June 1st of 2011. By October 2011, I was here.
Wow.
So it was quick.
Yeah.
So I knew I was here for a reason. And everything that I kept manifesting, like the house that we bought, was everything in my visions. And so I started to really trust my intuition. Well, it's 2011. There's not a lot of work in New Jersey for CAT scan and MRI.
Okay.
And so I got a per diem job. I wound up doing a lot of per diem, and then I decided to go to a massage school. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. I mean, I know now. But my son and I walked into the National Massage Institute of Philadelphia. They had an Egg Harbor Township office, and I signed up that day. And the minute I got in there, I knew I was in the right place. And they asked me, what are you here for? And I said, I'm here to do medical massage. I don't know what that looks like or how that works, but I want to be on the medical side of massage. And they were like, well, you got in just in time. So when I graduated in 2014, I opened my first office at Tilton Fitness. So I had an office at Tilton Fitness, and I would just do therapeutic massage. And I did that for a couple of years, and then I landed my first, about a year and a half, and then I landed my first full-time job with AMI. And I was ecstatic. I cried. I had just bought my house. I went through my mother's death. My mother passed in 2015. That was very hard, and I'll talk about that later. But, and then next thing I know, my girlfriend says to me in 2016, go buy this laser. And I said, I can't afford a $30,000 laser, for, and that's crazy.
Right.
And she said, it'll change your whole practice. I guarantee you. And I started doing the laser with my therapeutic massage, and it was crazy, like the results that I was getting. People with shoulder injuries, anything, any kind of pain. And so I decided to start looking into medical massage. And I started following an MD from the Ukraine, Dr. Ross. And I went to, 9 different seminars with him, where we learned different medical massage techniques, and it was everything that a doctor would learn, but he wanted to teach it to doctors in the United States, and doctors are like, we don't touch people.
Exactly.
We don't touch people.
I don't look at a report and just tell you what your problem is, give you a pill and walk away. Yeah,
exactly.
Not touching people.
So he taught us how to do that. So I learned everything from vertigo to sciatica, neck pain, headaches, compartment syndrome.
Now, was he
arthritis.
an MD or
Yes,
a DO?
he was an MD.
MD, okay.
Yeah. And I just started utilizing that. I opened an office in Summers Point. I had 3 rooms. It was all before COVID. It was beautiful. I had an Ayurvedic nutritionist. I had a couple of massage therapists.
Nice.
We did yoga, meditation, and COVID happened. And
wrecked everything.
My Ayurvedic nutritionist moved to California. My secretary moved to Colorado. And I'm here in this office, like, basically by myself.
Yeah.
So I got rid of that office, and I moved here, and I've been here for 3 years. So for me, medical massage is, it's really, for me, it's a lot of intuition, but it's a lot of knowledge. So I know what muscles, where they attach, what their actions are. I know that when somebody comes in with certain things, where I'm going to look. I use my trigger point map a lot. I always laser them. Anytime there's pain, there's inflammation.
Yep.
So it reduces inflammation, it increases microscopic blood flow, and it heals in the mitochondria in the cell to increase the ATP, or the energy of the cell, as you know.
As we know. Red lights. There you go.
So it was, it's been a game changer. I just upgraded it about 3 years ago. And I went from a 15 watt to a 25 watt system. And so I utilize that, and I do cupping. I don't do cupping where I leave marks.
Thank God.
I do a sliding cupping, and what I explain to my clients,
like it's supposed to be done.
That's the way I feel, and that's the way the doctor that taught me feels.
Right.
And so what I teach people is that, like, each layer of tissue has to slide back and forth on each other.
Yes.
So you have all these different layers, and if they don't, there's a restriction. And what's that restriction? He calls it fibrotic bridges, or vertical connective tissue. So the
mini
slide,
scars,
right,
basically, is what I call them when I do therapy. Yep.
Is that what you call them?
So micro scarring or fascial adhesions. Yeah. But basically, it's the body's way of saying, ow, this hurt, and I created some scar because I think I have to repair something, even though there's not a macroscopic damage like a cut or a torn muscle. But you'll make those microscopic little bridges, and they have to be broken free from time to time. That's why we stretch. That's why we use cups, which, if you guys take a look at these cups do not have any way of sucking the air out. These are meant to take some air out, put them on, and slide them, like you said, because they're fascial adhesion removers. The ones that leave marks are people who are using these incorrectly. They're using them as a new, I'll call it a newfangled way of doing leeches. So a leech you used to put on to suck all the poisons out of people.
Right.
So when you hear people do these and leave marks, they're like, oh, I got rid of the toxins. No, you didn't. You
Brought
bruised
them
their
to the
skin. But because you didn't puncture the skin like a leech would do, you didn't get it out.
Oh.
So the other ones, the glass ones that you see that have a siphon to kind of suck the air out of, you're supposed to acupuncture needle them about 6 to 8 times, then put the cup over it, then suck the air and the blood out.
Ah.
They don't bruise when you do that.
That makes more sense.
So the people who use these and leave marks are confusing the two different techniques that utilize a very similar tool. So if someone says they're getting rid of the toxins and they don't poke your skin, they're bruising you. You should call them for bullshit or malpractice, because all they did was bruise you. Now, what does a bruise do?
Well,
It makes more scar tissue,
Yep.
which makes more fascial adhesions in the long run, or worse off, you damage the underlying tissue, and now you've created thin skin. And what does thin skin do when we're older?
Oh,
It tears and we die from infections.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I get so angry with that, and maybe we'll edit that whole piece out, but that's my tirade.
That's
but
okay.
You're using the
But
tools
people need to know
correctly,
that.
and they need to understand that
Yeah.
that's the correct. When I do a suction cup on somebody who has a scar, I'm there for like 3-4 minutes. We're done.
Right.
These people leave these on for 20 minutes and come back. I'm like, you just harmed them.
And I tell people, I said, it's like a hickey.
Yeah.
You're breaking blood vessels
Yeah.
underneath the skin, and if the muscle is trying to heal, you need more blood.
Right.
You don't want
You
to
don't
take
break
blood
the blood.
away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I explain it
And
to
broken
people.
blood vessels are like scabs on the inside, and that hematoma now turns into some form of scar.
Yeah.
That makes you worse, not better.
See?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad.
So glad you use it the way I use it. And now you guys all know how to use it properly.
So other than cupping, I do a little bit of scraping. I don't like to do a lot of it, and I use vibration. So vibration shuts off part of the nerve cell called the Pacinian corpuscle. I just like saying the name. And so, excuse me. And so I use it with my trigger point work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll find the trigger point. I'll kind of find where it hurts the most. It's called the clockwise technique. And then I'll put the vibration on, and it'll literally melt that away. And I use it a little bit with people with really tight erectors. Like it just...
You can't even get through them with a massage.
Right.
So let's break them
You're
down
there
before
forever.
we even do it.
Yeah. So when they come in, the first thing I do is I look at their posture, look at their feet, their knees, their hip rotation, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gives me an idea of where I'm going to start, because I like to start with myofascial release. And then I usually look at my trigger point map and I bring them over and I'm like, where does it hurt? And they're like, it hurts right here. And I'm like, okay, these different muscles and trigger points in these different muscles. And 9 times out of 10, if it's like lower, it's always their hips are out of alignment. Not out of alignment, but one's higher.
They're off. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, oh, I have a shorter leg. I said, no, your muscles are pulling
Pulling you
that
that
up.
way. Yeah.
You know, I have a client who's a dentist, and she's always reaching over, and her
Habits.
left
Yes.
hip is always higher. And I'm like,
I always say
it's a shame.
we drive a car with our right foot, so we're always sitting in that off-center
that's-
position. Over time, that's going to create some kind of fascial tension or muscle tension, and it throws you off. You have
that
to
I
reestablish
never thought
that.
of it that way,
Mhm.
because I always think about like people that drive like me.
And sit, yeah,
My
I was gonna say,
leg
you
is
sit with
always
one leg
up,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you know,
I'm
and
a surfer and snowboarder, so I'm always going left or right. You know, my body doesn't like to twist this way. It only twists that way, and this feels
'Cause that's
comfortable
the way
because
you're
that's the
built.
way I've built it over years.
yeah. And so I try to teach people that. Like I like to teach people about their body and how it works, and you know, the nervous system. I'm also a healing touch practitioner, so the nervous system has a lot to do with it. And even in medical massage, we learn to check the nervous system, and so we'll check the nervous system to see, because if somebody is in like a highly sympathetic state, you're not doing deep tissue on them.
Not unless you want to make them worse.
Right. and they come in, and I always tell people I to think about this, and you know, sometimes it's a little bit more than what people want to hear, you know, but I'll say, if they'll say, oh, I like deep tissue, oh, you know, harder the better, and I'm like, there's really it's not a saying or a law or a rule, but it's usually when somebody has a high tolerance for pain, they're disassociated from their body. And why are they disassociated from their body? What trauma has happened in their life that they're now disassociated from their body. So I try to, if somebody's in that state, I'll do like a body scan and a breathing technique, a 4-7-8 breathing technique for the vagus nerve, and I'll calm them down, and then I'll start working on them. Because I have a lot of people that have chronic stress or chronic pain, or, you know, and I'll work with them there first, and then I'll do the work that I do.
Nice. And I like that you say that. If someone comes in a state that I can easily recognize as not being relaxed, and you're coming to me to get relaxed, I'm going to start with basics. And what did you start with? Breathing. What does yoga start with? Breathing. What does everything start with? Breathing. And then what did I do? I went to the nervous system, because that's the electrical system that runs the entire body. Well, if the electrical system's off, it doesn't matter how much you work on the muscles, the electrical system's just going to reset it. So get the electrical system calmed down. Then I can start looking at all the next systems. I always find that muscles tend never to get hurt. It's always something around them until you actually tear and traumatize them significantly. But even a hamstring tear, 9 times out of 10, you didn't tear the muscle. It's almost impossible to tear a muscle. But you tore everything around it, and that's why it bruised, and that's why it bled. It's all the stuff around it. And that by the time I get to the muscle, I don't have to do anything. I have to fix everything else. And 9 times out of 10, like you said, start with breathing. But how many people forget to even do breathing?
Oh, I watch it all the time.
The doctor isn't going to tell you to breathe.
No. Why?
Even
like,
the therapist,
what's wrong with
even
that?
the physical therapists are like, oh, I got to do posture and breathing. They don't teach that.
Yeah.
Well, you should learn that, because that's the start of everything.
That's continuing education.
Yeah. But that should be the basis of education.
I know.
Which, again, I'll go on my tirade. That's why we did the second podcast of this, where we talked about how Rockefeller stole medicine and made it pill-based instead of nature-based, or even just body-based. This is how your body's built. This is how it works.
I say that all the time. You know, I learned a lot of anatomy and physiology in radiology. But even when I went through this program, now in New Jersey you only need 550 hours. This program is 950 hours. And I didn't know the difference back then. But we learned so much more anatomy than I would have thought for massage. It was very interesting, and I used to hate cells. I'm like, I don't want to talk about cells. What do I need cells for? I'm massaging people. And now it's all I talk about. It's all I talk about. I'm like, in the mitochondria. Do you know what the ATP is? And chromophores are what absorbs the light from the laser.
Do you get this answer from everybody? So what do you remember about the Krebs cycle from high school? I don't know. Well, you better, because that's how your body functions, and that's why this stuff works. Yeah.
And that's what I tell people, like when we're working together and they're talking, because they're constantly talking to me about what's going on, and it, you know, their thyroid or this or that, and I'm like, everything works together. So if that's off, then you need to get these other things looked at, because they all go together. You know? So I'm the same way. I think that the more people are empowered to learn more about their body and what their body can do, I think the more, what's the word I'm looking for? I would say empowered again, you know, they can transform their whole life.
I tell them to learn to drive the meat suit.
Yes.
If you understand how it works. You can't drive a car if you don't understand at least some of how it works.
Right.
Do I need to know how the internal combustion engine works to make it run? No, but if it breaks down and it's not running right, you need to be able to diagnose what's not running right to make it optimal again. It'll sputter down the road if you clog the oxygen filter. But if you unclog the oxygen filter, it runs so much better.
It's interesting because demographic-wise, like age-wise, it depends on who you're working with. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm on my doctor says, and my doctor says. And I said, did you ever think to question your doctor? Oh, no, I can't. I said, well, how can
they wear a lab coat. And
how can you learn? Like, did you know that a doctor has no nutritional education at all? Like, do you know that? No, I didn't know that. Like, when I went to the pediatrician, you know, I'm older, so he would say to us, what did you feed him?
What'd you eat? Yeah.
What'd you eat him? What'd you eat for dinner? What did you,
Yeah.
And
knowledge is power.
Yeah. Knowledge is a lot of power.
Yeah.
And we think that because they went to medical school, they have all the knowledge. No, they have a very specific set of knowledge. A friend of mine is an emergency room doctor here at Shore, And he always says all the time, look, my job is to make sure you don't die tonight. You didn't, and you don't have anything that's going to kill you when you leave here. My job's done. Now, here's what I think is going on. Go find somebody who knows and understands that.
Right.
Because that's not the stuff I learned.
Right.
And I love that he does that, because that's what the emergency room doctor is. I'm the doctor who studied some stuff that this shit'll kill you, and I need to stop it.
For getting into that, everybody's about their insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody asks me, is massage covered?
Take insurance, yeah.
And I say to them, call your insurance company, check to see if it's covered. I do take HSA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if they do, then you'll still pay me and I'll write you a super bill.
Right.
And then you could submit it. I'm
reimburse
going to be
Yeah.
out of network.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's the same thing. It's like, why isn't holistic care, preventative care,
Mhm.
covered?
Mhm.
That would save insurance companies so much more money.
They're not. The third podcast we did was about how the insurance
Yes.
company isn't about
Yes.
saving you,
I
but
saw-
making money.
Yeah.
So,
And it's
Yeah.
a shame. Hopefully
not
we
their
can.
business model.
Hopefully we can change that.
yeah. And
in
I
the
think
future.
people are seeing that,
Yeah.
which is why we started the health fair and why we're doing the podcast, is because people are fed up with it and they're realizing that, wait a second. And I blame my generation, which is the X generation, because my parents taught me to question everybody, because everybody's out to get you. So I question everything. Well, why wouldn't I question a lawyer, a doctor, a banker, and all these things? Now we're realizing what scams they're doing. And again, not scams. The doctor at the emergency room, he's a good, honest guy. He wanted to do
Right.
emergency medicine. He's doing a good job of it. But let's not use that to take care of it. You don't use your car insurance to put oil in your car.
Right.
But if you don't put oil in your car, it's going to break and fall apart. So don't use your insurance to stay healthy. Be healthy. And
Right.
then you'll need your insurance less.
Right. Exactly.
But people aren't thinking that way.
No.
Because we've
That's not how we were
ruined the system, and politicians have ruined the system, and so we think that that's how it's supposed to go.
taught. Exactly.
But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I do. I mean, and usually I like to see people, if somebody comes in with pain, I'll say to them, I'd like to see them twice a week for 3 weeks, and then 6 sessions.
Mhm.
And then if, just say you're feeling better at 4, then maybe we push it back. And then I just want them to understand that it's important to do maintenance.
Mhm.
I'm not here to sell you anything.
Right.
It's for your body. So if you feel 4 to 6 weeks is good for you to come and just do, because you're stretching now,
Mhm.
you're working out,
I taught you about the body,
You're-
and you
you're-
know how to
yeah.
maintain it.
you're
Yep.
exercising, you're doing all the things that you need, eating healthy,
Mhm.
calming your nervous system, like all those things go with what we're doing here.
Mhm.
And then I let you go, and you go, and
Yeah.
you just come back to get maintenance.
Yep. And that's what I like is a difference for you and how you're doing medical massage, which there are people who do that elsewhere, but there's I don't want to use the word treatment, but there's a improvement factor to it.
Right.
Most people think massage is I just go just once just to kind of just relax, and that's all I need is one, and I'm good for like 3-6 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're maintaining yourself, that probably could be good.
Right.
But you're looking to boost them to a new level.
Right.
And then they should be able to hold that level. At time to time, you always need a boost, but that twice a week for 3 to 4 weeks is really going to make a difference in somebody. And then once they realize how good their body can feel, now they're going to realize how to maintain it with you, and maintenance programs and things like that. And that's super important. Is I guarantee anybody that comes to see you will see improvement, because they don't even realize how bad they've gotten.
Yeah. They usually do. I mean, it's a very interesting, I have a couple of guys, late 60s, and have like terrible pain, terrible sciatica. And I got them to a point where they were feeling better. And I kept encouraging them, please stretch, please stretch. Finally, both of them came back to me at different times and said, you were right. Like, if all I do is stretch, I feel good. And I'm like, isn't that something? Surprise!
To their defense, I will say 60-year-old guys, we're big dumb animals,
Yeah.
and it takes us like 300 times for you to beat us over the head with it, and then we go, oh, that's what you meant?
Yeah. Well, I was just
Sound
happy.
familiar?
I was just happy that, like, they saw it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
saw the
Yeah.
benefits of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do everything from I work on people with headaches, vertigo. I had a woman that had vertigo for 4 years.
Oof.
And I worked on her 3 times and it went away. And it was just,
And
she
I'm
was
sure
taking
she tried
medicine.
everything in the book.
Yeah,
Yep.
she was doing all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
Headaches, and I give people, especially with headaches, I give them things to do. And a lot of times, I like to work with physical therapists. I like to work with chiropractors.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work with all the doctors, because typically what happens is somebody, and nothing against PT, but people will go to PT and they're in pain. And I'm like, and then they don't feel better. And then they come to me and I use the laser and we do some medical massage and stretching and they feel better. And I'm like, okay, time to go back to PT.
Mm-hmm.
Like now you go
Now
back
you
to
can-
PT.
Now your body is capable of doing the movement patterns you need to maintain it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I say that all the time. I'll see people 3, 4, 5 times at most. If their body's not moving right, there's a movement problem.
Right.
But is it a movement problem because your brain just can't organize the movement? You're discoordinated, the nervous system's off, or is it the fascia's off, or any
Right.
of those kinds of things? Well, then we have to get to the heart of that.
Right.
And then I always tell people, go get a massage from somebody who knows what the hell they're doing, because that's going to be way better than my version. My version is kind of, let me find it and identify it,
Right.
and then see if we can do some things to empower you to go home and do it yourself. Because me doing it for 20 minutes a couple days a week isn't going to do squat.
Right.
You got to go home and do this to yourself.
Right. Yeah, my thing too is if I'm working on someone and I don't see an improvement in 2 or 3 times,
Mhm.
maybe 3, then I usually can feel their spine is out of alignment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll say, do you have a chiropractor? Go see the chiropractor.
Yep.
It's usually levels, this level, this level,
Yep.
and I'll let them know. I need to have more chiropractors that people can just do walk-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to find more chiropractors
We'll
that
find
are
them for you.
open. Yeah. And then because some people don't like the traditional manual
Yeah.
cracking.
Yeah.
But it's usually that's what's happening. That's out of alignment. Muscles have memory. I'm relaxing them and then they go back because the spine's out of alignment.
Yeah.
So, that's why I like to work with them. I have some people that only me works or only me
Mhm.
works. And
Mhm.
I'm like, no, it's
Yeah.
like we said, it's a system. Like
Yeah.
everything works together.
And the chiropractor is excellent at bones and manipulating the nervous system. Therapists like myself, physical therapists, are good at movement mechanics and teaching the movement mechanics. You're great at getting the hands on somebody and getting that system to shut down and get it to mobilize and break it free.
Right.
So if we all worked in the same building,
Wouldn't that be great?
we'd all be able to just go to one to the other. Hey, today you need more of this. Tomorrow I need more of that. Oh, now that these are working right now, go get some movement mechanics. And so those things are there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you straight up, my physical therapy school taught me chiropractors are evil.
Mhm.
Don't send anybody to them. And I think to myself, I hate when someone tells me that.
Yeah.
Because you're expressing a bias towards something you don't understand.
Right.
Because you're not a chiropractor. You don't know what they do.
Right.
And now that I understand what they do, I go, what a bias to teach somebody. And it goes right into the whole, well, school is there to teach you how to not play nice with others and just take it for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I say that about everything. Like you have an ear, nose, and throat guy. You have
Mhm.
a cardiac guy.
Mhm.
You have a
Yeah.
gastroenterologist. You
Yeah.
have,
And
I'm
they're
like,
great at what they learned.
but they all go together.
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
the
No one's-
vagus nerve starts in the head and goes to the rectum. I mean, come on. Like it goes through all the systems.
Yeah.
How can that not affect
And if you
all
regulate
the systems?
that,
Mhm.
I don't need the gastroenterologist. I
Mhm.
don't need the ENT. I don't need.
Yep.
It regulates the nervous system, then regulates everything right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me your take on fascia.
So I tell people that it's a web-like connective tissue from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and every nerve and every blood vessel runs through that, and every nerve runs along a muscle. So that's usually how it's named. So if you're born, this is what I tell, especially my tall people. You're born with that fascia that now at what, maybe you were 21 inches when you were born because you're tall.
Mhm.
Now you're 6'7", and you still have the same fascia. Have you stretched that fascia properly? Because that's
Still
why your
21 inches tall. I'm
right. That's
6'2".
why.
Yeah.
And unless it's cut into, then it's it's the same fascia. Once it's cut into, now you have to bring more fascia together to sew it together. So myofascial release, I have a specialist here, Beth, and she's John Bourne's myofascial release specialist. Worked with him, and I love her. She works on Tuesdays, and she does myofascial release. I do some myofascial release with my work because I have been taught John Bourne's method, and so I will do some. I think that you need to hold either stretch or a position for at least 90 seconds to activate. Is it proprioception?
The muscle spindles
Yeah.
hold on to tension, and they won't release for at least 90 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm holding that myofascial release. Usually it's like 3 minutes. Or I'll do a traction, like a leg pull or an arm pull, and I'll hold that for at least 3 minutes. And so I always tell people, if your fascia is tight, then you're going to have maybe some compression on a nerve or compression on blood vessels or, you know, and so you really want to work with that, you know, like I was mentioning, the fibrotic bridges, you know, the connective tissue. It doesn't allow for I tell people, if this fascia is tight and you want to grow that muscle, where is it going to go?
Stuck.
It's not going to go and get bigger because the fascia is pushing it down.
I call it tight pants. You know, if you wear tight pants, you can't bend as much. If your fascia is tight, you can't bend as much. It's the same thing. It's just internal, not external.
I love the analogies.
Yeah. Well, I have to try to give people a visual because they don't understand it. And as soon as you say, like I said with the Krebs cycle, they're like, I don't know. No, stop closing your brain, open it up. But if you give them an analogy, I call it pizza dough. You take a dough pizza, it just sits there. And then you start to stretch it. And as soon as you stop, it goes right back.
Oh, yeah, that's a good analogy.
And as you push it more and more and more, eventually it stays there. But try to push it too fast and too hard. Correct. It rips.
Yeah.
So don't stretch too hard, and you gotta keep doing it. The kids in Cirque du Soleil aren't that flexible from stretching really hard one time last night.
No.
That's not how it works.
No.
So, yeah, and I love that you say that too. All your nerves are in there. All your blood vessels are in there. I call it if you take steaks and you shrink wrap them and you stick them in the freezer, well, how do you get the oxygen and the blood flow to them? It's got to go between them, but it might get stuck together. Well, now I got to pull those apart. That's exactly how the body is wrapped up.
Yeah. I once I do that and I teach them that, like one time somebody has numbness in their hands, I'm working on their neck, their triceps, they hate that. And then I get down into the forearms and the hands, and by the time they leave, I'm like, how's your hands feel? And they're like, I can feel my hands. And I said, that's all the nerves. And
you gave them circulation, you gave them slack so that the nerves aren't compressed and tensioned. Yeah.
And then I give them stretches to do so that they can keep it up, or nerve glides or something.
Yep. And that's the difference, understanding anatomy. That's the difference, understanding nervous systems and medical side of massage. Yeah, you can really delve into that. And then also the trigger points, the chakras. There's so many other systems that can be incorporated. It doesn't have to just be the anatomy.
Right.
You know, the ancient Chinese came up with stuff that still applies today.
Exactly.
Without X-ray machines and without technology to see into the body, but it works.
Yeah,
it works.
It really does.
And when it does, it's miraculous. People think you're a miracle worker, and that's why they'll
I
say,
know.
"Oh, I only need you. I don't need anybody else. I only need you."
No,
because it works. But now you have to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Optimize.
Now it's strengthen. Go to PT. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
It's. I love what I do. I did love CAT scan and MRI. I loved the anatomy, and I loved helping people and starting IVs and that fast pace. Back then.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like very comfortable coming in, and I clear the energy of the room, and I maybe do yoga in the morning or something so that I can get geared up to work with people.
Do you find that it's very tiring to work with people? Do you feel like their energy kind of drains you? I
put myself in a protective bubble every day.
But if you didn't, or before you learned how to do that, it's tiring.
I used to get exhausted, and because you're not just here working on them, they're talking to you, and some will share a lot of intimate secrets and things that bother them, and I'm also a psychedelic coach, and I'm also the coaching has helped me with having that empathy and not taking it on.
Right.
So I've learned to do that. And you know, people always ask me, "Are your hands tired? Are you tired?" I'm like, "No, not at all." Like physically and emotionally, like I'm a little drained after I do like 6 or 7 people in a day. Like 5's my limit. 5's what I like. But if I do more, like yesterday I was here from 10 to 7, and I had a couple of breaks in between, but I was just tired when I got done. My hands don't hurt. It's nothing like that.
It's like a good workout or a good day going on a hike. You're tired, but your body feels good about it.
And I love what I do. So what do they say?
Helps.
Like, you know,
it's not work if you like what you do.
If you love what you do. So that's how I feel about.
But I like that you also say that there is that energy transfer, and I've got to keep a little bubble. I'm still going to accept it. I'm still going to take it off of you, but I'm not going to let it burden me. I just kind of ball it up and throw it out because it's your junk, not mine.
Yeah. You kind of have to, you know, and so I kind of do that every morning. I kind of have a ritual when I come in. I light my candle. I light my Palo Santo. I go around the room. I ground myself. And I just, some days, like if I'm in public and it's like, I was in New York. I was like, oh my God, I got to put myself in a bubble. And I imagined myself in this light bubble. I was like, I can't take all this on. Like, this is a lot of energy.
You know, it's funny you say that because I've always said that I think the cities are a disaster because there's so many people and so much energy that it's just chaotic. Get in a car with your family, people you love. Drive to Florida. And you tell me how much you want to kill them before you get to Florida. But what do you do when you get there? You separate. And in 10 minutes, you're all fine again. Because you've packed that energy into a car. And it might be excitement. It might be positive energy. But it just bounces around and has no escape. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds. Even good energy building can be explosive. So I always say cities, you got to kind of walk around and be like, oh, okay. Get some stuff and then let's get out and breathe. So if we want to end all this, you know, civil war and hatred and all this stuff, spread out. Take these millions of people who are confined to Manhattan Island and spread them out.
That's how I like to come in with a positive attitude. You know, everybody has ups and downs. Everybody has good days and bad days. But if I can try and leave my stuff in the car or at home, you know, and come in here with an open heart, I really think that is the key to everything, is love and an open heart. And I know that sometimes that sounds cheesy, but I really, truly believe that. And it's taken me time to get to that point. You know, a lot of work.
Then you should have read The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment.
I've heard of that
Because he says the same thing. He says, you have to love yourself. So you don't have to love everything. You can hate stuff, but you have to love yourself for hating it. And it was a tiny little pamphlet book. The guy did a ton of drugs in the 60s, wrote it all down, and when he sobered up, he looked at it and went, oh, I get it. It's love. Love is the thing that makes it all right. And if you have that about, that's why when you love what you do, it's not work, it's not tiring. When you love your family, it's everything gels. You know, when you love the client in a way that can help them bring that energy up, it works.
And it's not, it's unconditional love. Like, you're not going to like everything about your family. You're not going to like everything about your friends or anybody. And I feel like if you can accept them for who they are, where they are, then that's okay. You know, and you can love them where they're at.
And I can love myself for being flawed. I can love myself for having factors that are no good. But that's the key that makes everything stress-free. And we had said before, stress is... that's the killer of everything.
It is.
You know,
it causes inflammation. It causes, you know, pain. It causes everything. It's
cause those little adhesions that can start to build up.
It's the root of all evil, I think, stress.
Certainly for the body.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the laser.
The laser.
So how does it work? What does it work on? What does it do?
So
I'm going to play.
Go ahead.
Don't look at it in the eye.
Yeah, don't look at it in the eye. It's not plugged in, so you're good. We have glasses. You have your glasses. So it's considered photobiomodulation. And so it's like photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is where the plants have chlorophyll. The light is absorbed with the chlorophyll, and then it helps the plant grow and, get green. And so this is basically the same thing, and our cells have what's called chromophores. And so in our mitochondria, we have chromophores. The light from the laser is absorbed by the chromophores. It breaks down lactic acid. It increases microscopic blood flow. It reduces inflammation. And what it does is it speeds up the energy of the cell, which is ATP. And so once the ATP is increased, the body starts to heal quicker. So a lot of people will say, I slept really good. I had laser yesterday and I slept really good. And I said, that's when your body's healing. So don't be upset if you get home and you want to just lay down.
Yeah.
Like, take a break. And so this has every protocol from Bell's palsy to arthritis to spinal stenosis, tears, sprains, you name it. And each pass or each protocol is anywhere from a minute and a half to like 8 minutes. And sometimes I'll do it twice, depending on the person and their pain. Sometimes if I do a lot of work on somebody, now I'm releasing lactic acid. That's why you're sore after a massage.
Yeah.
That's why they tell you to drink a lot of water. So what I'll do is I'll laser post as well. So I'll massage, I'll laser, I'll massage. Especially if I'm doing trigger point or something where
Deeper
people
stuff,
are like,
yeah.
I'll laser after. And I'll just do a quick pass for a couple of minutes, and this way that soreness that they might have for 2 or 3 days is now gone, or it might only last for a couple hours. So it is the best investment I have ever had, and I've ever incorporated into my practice. My friend said, you have to buy this laser, and I'm like, $30,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just,
Yeah.
I just lost my job.
Like
I can't.
$20 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, I'll get one.
And so, so it's really, I think it's really amazing. I've worked with patients with diabetic neuropathy. It's helped with them. I do it a lot for arthritis, especially in the hands. Everybody with texting and the thumbs and.
Remember when they called it BlackBerry thumb when they first invented
it? Did they?
Because you had to click the keys, and everybody's thumbs got all beat up from them.
I had a gentleman tell me that it used to be called scholar's neck, because back when, from reading. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I work on trigeminal nerves. I work on sinuses. If somebody comes in and they're all stuffed up, I'll laser their sinuses. And they're like, oh my God, they're clear. And I'm like, well, they might come back, but we're only doing one time here. Most protocols, it depends. Like, I look in the protocol book and, just say it's a tarsal tunnel or something, sprained ankle. They say every day for 3 days and then every other day. Till it's resolved. And a lot of times it doesn't.
Get it blasted, get it boosted, improve that situation, and then use it to maintain it.
And it's cumulative. Just like I say medical massages.
Yep.
Because I can't relax your muscles right away.
Right.
It's going to take a little bit of time and you're stretching.
Yep.
And that was like the difference between medical massage and spa massage. I did something on my social media page. Spa, you usually go to the spa, it's a relaxing, nice day.
Girls' night out kind of thing. Yeah. And it feels great. And it's
feels
worth
great.
it.
Not that it doesn't feel great when you come here, but
Correct.
you're coming here for a reason.
Exactly.
You're coming here to help with pain, make an improvement, be empowered to figure out how your body works so you don't get injured.
Right.
That's my key, is like teaching people how not to get injured. So.
Well, we use the red lights, the infrared lights. We use the grounding mats.
Oh, nice.
But what we find is people who are working out in the gym and then spend 10 minutes in the lights after they're done, they all leave with a smile.
Yeah.
But everyone else leaves with the typical, I just worked out at the gym kind of grunt on their face.
Yeah.
It literally replenishes,
the light.
getting rid of the lactic acid, replenishing the energy cellularly. And that's exactly it. I try to show people, like, again, fuel, oxygen, and sparks. This is the sparks.
Yeah.
If you look at chlorophyll and you look at human hemoglobin, they are the exact same chemical shape. The difference is, I forget what's at the center of chlorophyll, but at the center of hemoglobin is iron.
Oh, okay.
But the exact chemistry formula, like when you draw it out in a picture from organic chemistry, it's exactly the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Only whatever the chlorophyll center is, I want to say it's like manganese or magnesium or something, I forget. But the center of the hemoglobin is iron.
That makes so much
So
sense.
why the heck wouldn't we need energy from the sun in this form? We're concentrating it and doing a medical device out of it.
Right, but it's still
the sun
light.
was supposed to give us light just like it gave plants.
Mhm.
Plants need the water, they need the spark, and they need the carbon dioxide. They make the oxygen in the food. We eat the oxygen or drink, breathe the oxygen, eat the food, and what do we make? Water and carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we need a spark also to do that same reaction?
Thing. Yeah.
We're plants. We just get to move around.
Yep.
That's all the difference.
I mean, we're all connected.
Yeah.
We're all connected. I just had this conversation with someone just the other day. Her father has dementia. She took her father outside in the sun for like an hour, and he came in and he was smiling. Like, he's not really nonverbal,
right.
but he was smiling. And I said, they used to have in hospitals rooms where they had beds
Sun
all
decks.
outside,
Out
sun
the
decks,
windows.
or the windows. And I said, we don't do that. We keep the shades closed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't look at the sun.
Yep.
Like, the minute I'm sick, or if I have a cold, which is, I don't get sick very often, I'll go outside.
Yeah.
I'll bundle up and I'll just sit outside in the
We
sun.
were sent to the
We're
beach.
electrical beings.
Yeah. We were sent.
We are.
We were sent to the beach. Go jump in the ocean.
Yeah.
I actually got sent to the ocean with my wisdom teeth taken out.
Nice.
Talk about getting dirty medical waste salt water from North Jersey in your mouth with wounds, because that was the time that New York was known for dumping medical waste. And guess what? They got better in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because you're outside, you're in the salt water, you're getting sunlight, things heal faster that way. Was I getting some germs from the ocean at that time? Maybe, but the rest
Your
of it
body
was so
was
much
able to
stronger,
fight it
my
off.
body can fight that off.
Yeah. That's what I
That's
teach.
healing.
That's another thing, like, I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have Beth, who does myofascial release. She's in on Tuesdays. We have Jen, who does Thai massage, and she'll also use the laser, and she'll do table Thai, and she does do other massage techniques. She's taken a couple of my classes. I teach continuing education for massage therapists as well. I usually have 2 classes a year. I haven't decided when my next one is yet for this year. I'm concentrating on some of my other things that I'm got my hands in. But I taught over at Hard Rock. They hired me to come in and teach their therapist last year. And so I do 2 classes right now. I'm doing neck and headaches, and then I'm doing piriformis and low back.
Nice.
Or sciatica low back.
Nice.
And so it's a 8-hour class for 8 CEUs.
Nice.
And I usually have it on my website.
How many people do you find that you're teaching have no clue about?
All of them.
I
All of them.
was hoping you'd say like 1 or 2 no, but yeah.
I mean-
So here's somebody who's probably been in a job for a while and just, I still don't even know the body well enough.
I would say the one thing that they take away that they didn't know was when I show them how to test the nervous system, and they are doing deep tissue on people that have been disassociated from their body for so long, and they're not getting anywhere, or the client is moaning, they're in pain, and you're giving them more pain.
Digging in more.
Like, it just makes no sense. So I think that was one of the main takeaways that I remember people saying, wow, I never learned that,
Never
or I
learned
never
that,
learned that, or I never learned that.
There's a ton of physical therapists that don't understand the nervous system.
No.
And even when patients come in, they're like, that's all I have to do. Shouldn't I be here for an hour? I'm like, you stick around for an hour, but that's all your body needed because we fixed it.
Right,
And now go use it.
right,
Like
exactly.
the nervous system is, like I said, it's the control. Breathe, control the electrical system. The rest kind of falls into place.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. That's
So, at this point, since we have a 2-parter here, where can people find you? Where is your lovely facility?
So we're located at 2300 New Road, Suite 201C in Northfield. I have social media. I have More Medical Massage and Laser on Instagram. I have More Medical Massage, I think it's N Laser on Facebook. I'm sorry.
We'll put the links for sure.
Thank you.
In this, yeah.
I do have a website, moremedicalmassageandlaser.com, and our phone number is 609-780-1330, and my assistant Carol gets on the phone with you and send you all the paperwork and gets you set up. I like to do in a 90-minute initial consultation because I do posture and then I still work on you.
You get
We
to
talk.
assess stuff. Yeah, you
We
need
talk.
to know what's going on.
Yeah. And we talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about their nervous system. I talk about their injuries, even when they were an infant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Because
yeah,
emotions will be carried on. I always call it the bruised apple. You drop an apple, it's fine, but that spot that hit the ground will manifest in a bruise much faster than the rest of the apple.
well, that's
So the
that
same
other.
thing happens to the body.
That's that other component to fascia we were talking about earlier. They just recently, because they would always study fascia on a dead person.
Yeah.
They never studied it
It's
on
not
a live
it's
person.
just a shrink wrap.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so what they've found is there's more sensory neurons in fascia than there is in skin. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
What does that tell us? Well, the way I'm learning it is that touch, like our skin is touch, where the fascia is more emotion, where we hold emotion. And, even John Barnes' myofascial release, if you're in his classes, you're going to see people have an emotional release.
Mhm.
And I've had it happen on my table where I've had clients where they'd have an emotional release and their pain would go away.
Yep.
And so it's, that has a lot to do with our fascia and
Yep.
where we're storing all these stuck emotions.
And it's so funny when you look at trigger points and chakras and organs, that emotion, they're all describing the same thing from different centuries
Mhm.
and different thought processes and different anatomical configurations, but they all coincide.
Yes.
And the emotion carries it. Well, what would carry it? The packaging.
Yeah.
The packaging carries it.
And you can release it with breath work. You
Mhm.
can release
Mhm.
it with stretching. You can
Yeah.
release it with
Yeah.
yoga. You can release it with massage.
And a lot of people like Barb who does
Yep.
the breath work, she tells you, let it out.
Mhm.
Give it that emotion. Give it that voice and all those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of
Yeah.
breath work. A lot of screaming.
Exactly. Screaming, crying,
Yep.
outbursts, anger, all of it.
All
of
the
it.
things that when we were kids we were told not to do.
Exactly.
Don't have that fit.
Don't
If you want to cry, go to your room.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like that's all stuck emotions.
Mhm.
And people are like, "Oh no, I got over that long ago." Really? Well, your body didn't.
All right. So let's scoot
Got
this
the
back.
massage or the laser.
Now let's go.
Cut. Take two.